The white lights of the orbital hub's medical lab reflected off the polished surfaces, creating an almost sterile atmosphere. Dr. James Miller rubbed his tired eyes, looking at the clock display that floated virtually in front of him. 23:47 Earth Standard Time. He had been studying alien tissue samples for nearly 16 hours straight, but he couldn't bring himself to stop. Being the lead xenobiologist on humanity's most advanced space station had its challenges. The position demanded long hours, perfect attention to detail, and an open mind. James had all three, which was why he was chosen for this role 5 years ago, in 2152. The door to his lab slid open with a soft hiss. James didn't bother looking up, assuming it was just another late-night visit from the cleaning staff. But the gentle blue glow that filled the room made him freeze. That light could only mean one thing. A luminary was present. "Dr. Miller," a melodic voice called out. "I hope I'm not disturbing your work." James turned slowly, his breath catching in his throat. Standing in his lab was Ambassador K, the highest-ranking luminary on the station. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her silver-white skin emanating a soft blue glow that seemed to pulse gently. Like all luminary, she wore the traditional flowing robes that matched their natural bioluminescence. "Ambassador K," James stuttered, quickly standing up. "This is unexpected. How can I help you?" The luminary moved with fluid grace as she approached his workstation. Her large, almond-shaped eyes studied the samples on his desk with obvious interest. "Your research on our physiology has gained attention among our medical community," she said, her voice maintaining that perfect, emotionless tone all luminary were known for. James felt his professional pride swell. "Thank you, Ambassador. I'm just trying to understand the remarkable differences and similarities between our species." Kay's bioluminescence flickered briefly, something James had never seen before. "Different, yet perhaps not as different as some would believe," she said quietly. The comment caught James off guard. The luminary were famous, or perhaps infamous, for their belief in their own superiority. They saw humans as fascinating but primitive creatures, too ruled by their emotions to achieve true greatness. "Would you like to see what I'm working on?" James offered, gesturing to his microscope. It was an old-fashioned tool by modern standards, but he preferred its reliability over holographic displays. Kay moved closer, and James became acutely aware of her presence. The soft blue light she emitted created dancing shadows on the lab walls. As she leaned over to look through the microscope, her robe brushed against his arm, sending an unexpected shiver down his spine. "Fascinating," she whispered, studying the sample. "This is luminary cellular structure." "Yes," James explained, falling into his comfortable role as a scientist. "I've been studying how your cells process and emit light. It's quite remarkable. The efficiency is beyond anything we've achieved artificially." Kay straightened up, but didn't step back. She remained close enough that James could feel the subtle warmth radiating from her glowing skin. "You find us remarkable, Dr. Miller." There was something in her voice, something that shouldn't be there. Luminary never showed emotion, never deviated from their perfectly controlled responses. But James could have sworn he heard curiosity, maybe even something more. "I find everything about your species remarkable," he answered honestly. "Your technological achievements, your cultural unity, your biological adaptations. But, Kay prompted, her glow pulsing slightly brighter. "But sometimes I wonder if you've lost something in pursuit of perfection." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. James immediately regretted his frankness. This was an ambassador, not a fellow scientist, he could speak freely with. Instead of offense, Kay's response was unexpected. Her bioluminescence dimmed slightly, and she turned to face the lab's window, looking out at the earth below. "Perhaps," she said softly, "you are more perceptive than most of your kind, Dr. Miller." The moment hung between them, heavy with unspoken implications. In the reflection of the window, James could see Kay's expression. And for the first time ever, he saw a luminary's perfect mask slip. just for a second. Neither of them knew it then, but that late-night conversation in a quiet lab would change both their species forever. The annual Earth Luminary Diplomatic Gathering transformed the orbital hub's main hall into a sea of floating lights and formal attire. Human diplomats in their best suits mingled awkwardly with the glowing luminary representatives. Dr. James Miller stood in a corner, tugging at his uncomfortable collar while watching the strange mix of species attempt polite conversation. These events are painfully formal, aren't they? Ambassador Kay's voice came from behind him, making him jump slightly. Her blue glow seemed different tonight, more intense, almost flickering. Ambassador, James said, turning around. I didn't expect you to attend. I thought the Luminary High Council had called you back for consultations. Kay moved closer, her tall frame casting a gentle blue light over them both. I delayed my return, she said quietly. There are matters I need to discuss with you, privately. Warning bells rang in James's head. Private meetings between humans and Luminary were strictly regulated. I'm not sure that would be appropriate, he said carefully. Please, Kay whispered, her perfect Luminary composure cracking slightly. It's important. Before James could respond, the lights in the main hall flickered and died. Emergency lights cast a dim red glow across the room as confused murmurs arose from the crowd. Follow me, Kay said, taking advantage of the confusion. Her natural bioluminescence made her easy to follow in the darkness. Against his better judgment, James followed her through the emergency-lit corridors. They ended up in his lab, the one place he felt truly comfortable on the station. The backup generators hummed softly in the background. What I'm about to tell you breaks countless protocols, Kay said, her glow pulsing with what James now recognized as anxiety. The Luminary are dying, Dr. Miller. Our species is facing extinction. James stared at her in shock. What? But your civilization is at its peak. Your technology, your achievements, mean nothing if we cannot reproduce, Kay cut in. Our birth rates have been declining for centuries. Our genetic modification programs have failed. We're too perfect, too pure. We've engineered ourselves into a corner. Her voice cracked with emotion. Something that should have been impossible for a Luminary. Why are you telling me this? James asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Because your research suggests a solution. Human DNA. Your wonderfully imperfect, adaptable, emotional DNA might be compatible with ours. More than compatible. It might save us. The backup generators chose that moment to fail, plunging the lab into darkness. The only light came from Kay's bioluminescence, which pulsed with unprecedented intensity. Ambassador. James started, but Kay stepped closer. My name, she said softly, is just Kay. And I'm breaking every rule my species holds sacred by being here, by feeling these things. Her hand touched his face, warm and slightly tingling with bioelectric energy. This could cause a diplomatic incident, James whispered, but didn't move away. It already has. Kay's glow brightened. The moment I first felt emotion in your presence, I committed treason against everything my species believes in. We suppress our feelings because we think they make us weak. But watching humans, watching you, I've learned that emotions don't weaken you. They make you stronger. The darkness around them seemed to pulse with Kay's light as she moved even closer. James could see tears in her large alien eyes, something that should have been biologically impossible for a Luminary. Help me, she whispered. Help my species remember what it means to feel. The space between them disappeared. Later, neither could say who moved first. The touch of their lips sent literal sparks of bioluminescent energy through the darkened lab. Warning signals blared in James's mind about protocols, regulations, and career suicide, but for once in his life, the scientist chose not to think. In the darkness of a failed power system, two species crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Neither Kay nor James realized that this moment would change not just their lives, but the future of both their civilizations. As Kay's bioluminescence filled the room with waves of blue light, the last coherent thought James had was that some rules were meant to be broken. The morning after brought chaos to the orbital hub. James sat in his lab, staring at Kay's medical readings on his screen with growing concern. Her bioluminescence patterns had changed dramatically. Instead of the steady blue glow typical of luminary, her skin now pulsed with waves of color that shifted between blue, purple, and even gold. "This isn't normal," Kay said, pacing the lab. Her usual grace had given way to nervous energy. "Our bodies don't change colors like this. Ever." Her voice trembled. "Another impossible thing for a luminary." James ran another scan. "Your hormone levels are completely different from any luminary readings in our database. It's almost as if..." The lab door slid open. Both of them turned to see Dr. Thompson, the station's chief medical officer, standing there with a grim expression. "We have a problem," she said, closing the door behind her. "The Luminary High Council is calling an emergency meeting. They know something happened last night." "How?" James asked, his heart racing. "Because every luminary on the station felt it," Dr. Thompson explained. "They're all talking about a massive emotional wave that hit their collective consciousness during the power outage, and Ambassador Kay's current state is hard to miss." Kay's skin flashed bright purple with fear, an emotion that should have been impossible for her species to display so openly. "They'll exile me," she whispered. "Or worse. We have laws against emotional expression that go back thousands of years." James moved to Kay's side, ignoring Dr. Thompson's raised eyebrow. "We'll figure this out. There has to be a scientific explanation." "Oh, there is," Dr. Thompson said, looking at her tablet. "I just got the results from Kay's comprehensive scan. Her body is producing hormones we've never seen in luminary physiology before. Her emotional suppression mechanisms are completely offline. And," she paused, looking up at them both, "there are signs of cellular changes consistent with early genetic recombination." The room went silent except for the soft hum of equipment. "Are you saying..." James couldn't finish the sentence. "I'm saying," Dr. Thompson continued carefully, "that what we thought was impossible has happened. Human and luminary DNA have combined. Kay's body is changing to accommodate this event." Kay's glow turned a soft pink, a color no human had ever seen a luminary produce before. "I'm pregnant." Her voice mixed wonder and terror. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared through the station. A mechanical voice announced, "ATNTIO and all PERSONNEL. Luminary High Council Representatives are BOARDing. All TAFF report to designated areas. This is not a drill. They're here already." James felt panic rising in his chest. "That's impossible. They can't have traveled from their homeworld so quickly." "They didn't," Kay said, her glow dimming to a worried blue. "They were already on their way. Because of the fertility crisis. They're here too." She stopped, wrapping her arms around herself protectively. Dr. Thompson moved quickly to her computer terminal. "I'm sealing these test results under medical privacy protocols. They'll need the station director's override to access them." She turned to James and Kay. "But that won't hold them for long." Through the lab windows, they could see the luminary ship docking. It was massive, its silver hull reflecting the light from Earth below. Dozens of luminary officials would be aboard, all of them dedicated to maintaining their species' emotional and genetic purity. "What do we do?" James asked, realizing how quickly their private moment was becoming an interstellar incident. Kay's answer surprised them both. She stood straighter, her skin settling into a determined gold color. "We show them," she said firmly. "We show them that everything they taught us about emotions making us weak was wrong. We show them that change isn't something to fear." As if in response to her words, her glow pulsed stronger, filling the lab with warm light. Dr. Thompson's instruments began beeping wildly. "The baby," she said, checking the readings. Its cells are already showing signs of both species traits. This isn't just a pregnancy. It's proof that our species can evolve together. The sound of boots in the corridor told them their time was up. The High Council was coming. Kay reached for James's hand, their fingers intertwining as her glow synchronized with his heartbeat. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. The luminary High Council members filled the station's main conference room with their cold, steady blue light. Unlike Kay's now shifting colors, their bioluminescence remained perfectly controlled. 6 tall figures sat at the table, their silver robes making them look like living statues. "This is unprecedented," the head counselor said, his voice empty of emotion. "Ambassador Kay has broken our most sacred laws. The human has corrupted her emotional controls." James stood beside Kay, watching her glow pulse between deep blue anxiety and golden defiance. Dr. Thompson had joined them, carrying her medical tablet with the test results. "What happened was natural," Kay argued, her voice stronger than James had ever heard it. "Perhaps it's our laws that are corrupt, not our emotions." The council members' light flickered slightly. The closest thing to shock their species allowed themselves to show. "The ambassador's condition is unique." Dr. Thompson stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "The genetic combination we're seeing could solve the luminary fertility crisis. The human DNA is stabilizing the—" "Silence," the head counselor cut her off. "We are aware of the physical changes. That is why immediate termination is necessary. We cannot allow this abomination to continue." James felt Kay's hand grip his tightly. Her skin flashed bright red with anger, another new color for her species. "You can't," James said, stepping forward. "This isn't just about Kay or me anymore. This pregnancy could save your entire species." "Our species," another council member spoke, "has survived for 10,000 years through perfect control. We will not let one emotional outburst destroy our legacy." Suddenly, alarms started blaring through the station. On the main screen, multiple ships appeared, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. "Earth Alliance vessels," the station's AI announced. "They're requesting immediate docking." The head counselor's light dimmed slightly. "You informed your government?" "No," James said, equally surprised. "But our medical scans are automatically logged. They must have seen." Dr. Thompson's tablet beeped. She read the message and looked up with wide eyes. "It's not just Earth. 3 other alien species are sending ships. They're all interested in the hybrid pregnancy." Kay's glow turned a deep purple. "They want to study us, to use this discovery for themselves." The council members stood in unison. "This ends now. Ambassador Kay will return to our ship for immediate medical correction." "No." Kay's voice echoed through the room as her light blazed bright enough to make everyone shield their eyes. "I choose something different. Something better." She turned to Dr. Thompson. "The backup shuttle bay. Can you get us there?" Dr. Thompson nodded slowly, understanding in her eyes. "The maintenance tunnels. They're not on main security." "This is treason," the head counselor warned. "Protecting life is never treason," Kay replied. Then she grabbed James's hand and ran. They sprinted through hidden maintenance corridors, Kay's shifting lights illuminating their way. Behind them, they could hear the council members calling for security. Dr. Thompson led them through a maze of passages, using her medical override to unlock doors. "The shuttle has enough fuel to reach the Mars colony," Dr. Thompson said as they reached the bay. "I've transmitted the medical data to my colleagues there. They'll protect you both." James helped Kay into the shuttle, his mind racing. "Why are you helping us?" Dr. Thompson smiled. "Because sometimes good medicine means breaking bad rules. Now go." As the shuttle's engines fired up, they could see multiple ships still arriving through the observation window. Earth Alliance, Luminary, and others, all drawn by the news of something that should have been impossible. Kay's glow had settled into a new color, a warm, steady gold that seemed to mix human warmth with luminary light. She placed a hand on her stomach as James piloted them away from the station. "They'll follow us," James said, watching the radar. "Let them," Kay replied, her voice full of emotions her species had forgotten they could feel. "What's growing inside me isn't just a baby. It's hope. Hope for both our species." As they accelerated toward Mars, their small shuttle carrying the future of two civilizations, Kay's light pulsed in perfect rhythm with her first child's heartbeat. Behind them, the orbital hub became a battleground of politics and species, all fighting over the news of what they had created. But ahead of them lay something bigger than politics or laws, a new beginning. The Mars colony's medical center wasn't as advanced as the orbital hub, but its thick walls and independent security system made it the safest place for Kay and James. 1 month had passed since their escape, and Kay's condition had sparked something unexpected, a revolution among the younger luminary. "Look at this," James said, showing Kay the latest broadcasts on his tablet. The screen displayed hundreds of young luminary gathered outside their species' great hall, their lights pulsing in rainbow colors instead of the traditional blue. Kay watched from her medical bed, her own glow shifting between warm gold and peaceful green. Her pregnancy had progressed faster than either human or luminary normal rates, and her body had changed in fascinating ways. "They're awakening," she whispered, touching the screen. "After thousands of years, they're finally allowing themselves to feel again." The door opened, and Dr. Reed, the Mars colony's chief scientist, entered with new scan results. "Your baby continues to amaze us," she said, displaying a hologram of the developing child. "The DNA combination isn't just stable. It's perfect, almost like both species were meant to find each other." James held Kay's hand as they watched the hologram. Their child had both human and luminary features, small patches of bioluminescent skin mixed with human tones, a perfect blend of both worlds. "The High Council is losing control," Dr. Reed continued, showing them another news feed. "More luminary are speaking out. They're questioning everything. The emotional suppression, the genetic purity laws, everything." On the screen, a young luminary scientist spoke to a crowd. "Ambassador Kay proved what many of us suspected. Our emotional suppression wasn't evolution. It was a mistake that nearly led to our extinction. Look at her readings. The pregnancy is reactivating genetic pathways we thought were lost forever." Kay's glow brightened with pride and hope. "All those years of feeling broken because I couldn't fully suppress my emotions. And now I might help save our people by feeling them." Suddenly, alarms blared through the colony. "Incoming transmission from Earth Alliance Command," the colony's AI announced. Dr. Reeve activated the main screen. The face of Admiral Parker appeared, looking both serious and excited. "Dr. Miller, Ambassador Kay," he nodded to them. "The situation has developed significantly. The Luminary High Council has split. The younger members have sided with the reformers, while the traditionalists are threatening to use force to maintain their laws." James felt Kay's hand tighten in his. Her glow pulsed with concern for her people. But the Admiral continued with a small smile. "We have good news. The reformers have won key positions in their government. They're calling for a complete review of emotional suppression laws. And," he paused for effect, "they want you both to testify before their new council." "It's too dangerous," James started, but Kay cut him off. "No," she said, standing carefully. Her pregnant belly now glowed with swirling patterns of blue and gold. "This is what we needed. Not to hide, but to show everyone the truth. Our child isn't just a medical miracle. It's proof that change isn't something to fear." Dr. Reed checked her instruments. "The baby is perfectly healthy. Traveling would be safe at this stage." "There's more," Admiral Parker added. "Over 200 young luminary have come forward, requesting to participate in a voluntary human luminary genetic compatibility program. They're calling it the Evolution Initiative." Kay moved to the window, looking out at the red Martian landscape. Her glow reflected off the glass, creating a light show of emotions she no longer tried to hide. For thousands of years, she said softly, we thought perfection meant feeling nothing. We were wrong. Perfect isn't empty of emotions. It's being whole. She turned back to James, her light synchronizing with his heartbeat, as it always did now. We're going back. Our child deserves to be born in a world where both their heritages are celebrated, not feared. James joined her at the window, placing his hand over her glowing belly. Beneath his palm, their impossible child moved, sending ripples of light across Kay's skin. The revolution they had started with one night of broken rules was reshaping two civilizations, and it was only the beginning. The luminary Great Hall had never seen anything like this. The massive chamber, usually kept in strict dim light, now pulsed with the combined glow of hundreds of luminae, their lights shifting through colors that would have been forbidden just months ago. Kay lay on a special birthing platform, her own light blazing with intensity that lit up the entire room. James stood beside her, holding her hand as both human doctors and luminary healers monitored the impending birth. The contractions are getting stronger, Dr. Thompson said, having traveled from the orbital hub to assist. Her instruments beeped steadily as they tracked both Kay's and the baby's vital signs. The child's light patterns are stabilizing, added Master Healer Lin, one of the few traditional luminary who had supported them from the beginning. They're forming their own unique signature. Kay's grip on James's hand tightened as another contraction hit. Her glow pulsed bright white with pain, then settled back to a swirling mix of gold and blue. You're doing amazing, James whispered, wiping her forehead. Around them, the gathered crowd of both humans and luminary watched in respectful silence. The ancient texts, Master Lin said softly, speak of a time when our births were celebrated with light sharing. Before we chose suppression, our whole species would connect their lights to support a birthing mother. Kay looked up through pain-hazed eyes. Then, let's bring that tradition back. The words had barely left her mouth when something remarkable happened. Young luminary in the crowd began to synchronize their lights with Kay's. The glow spread through the chamber as more joined in, creating waves of color that moved like an aurora. Blood pressure rising, Dr. Thompson reported, but she was smiling. But it's perfectly within expected range. The light sharing seems to be helping stabilize her readings. James watched in awe as the chamber became a living light show. Even some of the older council members, those who had chosen to support change, joined their lights to the display. The head is crowning, Master Lin announced. Kay, prepare for the final push. Kay's light blazed supernova bright as she pushed. The synchronized lights of hundreds of luminary pulsed with her, offering their strength. James held her hand tightly, his human heart beating in time with the pulses of light. Then, in a final flash of brilliance, their child entered the world. The baby's first cry wasn't just a sound, it was a burst of light that filled the chamber. Everyone gasped as they saw the infant's skin, a perfect marble of human tones and luminary bioluminescence. The patches of light shifted through colors never seen before, creating patterns that seemed to dance. It's a girl, Dr. Thompson announced, her professional tone breaking slightly with emotion. Master Lin performed the traditional luminary birth blessing, his own light glowing warm and accepting. She bridges two worlds, he said. In all our recorded history, no child has ever shown such perfect harmony between light and flesh. The baby's eyes opened, revealing another miracle. One eye was human-like, a deep brown like James. The other was luminary, with its characteristic luminescent properties. As she looked around, both eyes worked in perfect sync. Kay cradled their daughter, her own light synchronizing with the baby's unique patterns. James wrapped his arms around them both, forming a family circle that glowed with shared joy. The gathered crowd erupted in a celebration of light and sound. Humans cheered while luminary created elaborate light patterns, their former restraint forgotten in the joy of the moment. She's perfect, Kay whispered, watching their daughter grab James's finger with surprising strength. What shall we call her? James asked softly. Kay smiled, her light pulsing with love. "Aurora," she said, "for she brings a new dawn for both our peoples." As if understanding, baby Aurora's skin rippled with patterns of gold and silver, creating tiny constellations across her skin. Her dual-natured eyes looked at both her parents with clear intelligence. In that moment, as humans and Luminary celebrated together in the Great Hall, no one doubted anymore. Change hadn't weakened them, it had made them stronger. And this tiny child, glowing with the light of two species, was living proof that the future held possibilities no one had dreamed possible. 1 year had passed since Aurora's birth, and the changes she sparked continued to reshape both human and Luminary societies. The Great Hall's nursery, once a place of strict quiet and controlled light, now sparkled with the glow of a dozen hybrid children playing under careful supervision. James watched through the observation window as Aurora floated a few inches off the ground, another unexpected gift of her mixed heritage. Her skin shimmered with patterns of light that changed with her emotions, now showing excitement as she played with both human and Luminary toys. "She's doing it again," Kay said proudly, joining him at the window. Her own glow had settled into a permanent warm gold, though it still shifted colors with strong emotions, combining both worlds without even trying. Aurora noticed them and waved, her dual-colored eyes sparkling. She had learned to speak both languages early, and her mind seemed to process information in ways neither species had seen before. When she laughed, her light created tiny aurora borealis effects around her. Ambassador K, Dr. Miller, a young Luminary assistant, approached them. "The new council is ready for your presentation." They followed her to the main chamber, where hundreds of faces, both human and Luminary, waited to hear the latest results of the Evolution Initiative. The program had grown far beyond their wildest dreams. James took the podium first, activating the holographic display. 1 year ago, many thought our species were too different to connect. Today, we have proof that not only can we connect, we can help each other evolve. He gestured to the data floating above him. The genetic therapy developed from Aurora's unique DNA has completely reversed the Luminary fertility crisis. Kay stepped forward, her light pulsing with pride. "More than that, we've discovered that human emotional capacity, when combined with Luminary biological control, creates something greater than either alone. Our children show enhanced cognitive abilities, physical adaptations we never imagined possible, and most importantly, they're happy." The chamber filled with approving lights and applause. In the front row, Dr. Thompson sat next to Master Lin, both beaming with pride at how far things had come. Behind them, even some of the former Traditionalist Council members nodded in approval. "But perhaps," Kay continued, "it's best to show you." She gestured to the nursery door. Aurora floated in, followed by her young friends, both hybrid and pure-blooded children playing together. She raised her small hands, and every light in the chamber dimmed except the natural glow of the Luminary present. Then Aurora did something new. Her light reached out like tiny threads, connecting with every illuminated being in the room. For a moment, everyone, human and Luminary alike, felt what she felt. Pure joy, wonder, and love, untainted by any prejudice or fear. "This," James said softly into the amazed silence, "is the gift our children bring us. Not just genetic compatibility, but true understanding between our species." The chamber erupted in celebration. Luminary lights danced in ways their ancestors would have never allowed, while humans watched in wonder as their own children began showing signs of understanding the light patterns. Later that evening, in their private quarters, James and Kay watched Aurora sleep. Her light had settled into peaceful patterns, occasionally forming shapes from both her human and Luminary heritage. Earth trees and Luminary crystals dancing across her skin. "The old council was wrong," Kay whispered, her hand entwined with James. "Emotion didn't make us weak. Love made us stronger than we ever were alone." "And you were right," James replied, smiling as Aurora's light synchronized with both their heartbeats in her sleep. "Some rules are meant to be broken." Through their window, Earth and the luminary homeworld were both visible as distant points of light. Between them, the orbital hub had been transformed into the first joint human luminary academy, where both species could learn from each other. Aurora stirred in her sleep, her dual-colored eyes opening briefly. She smiled at her parents, creating a perfect heart shape with her light, before drifting off again. One night had changed everything. One moment of breaking the rules had led to this new dawn. And as Kay's light merged with Aurora's peaceful glow, while James held them both close, they knew that this was just the beginning of an even greater adventure.